how has that affected the way that you live your life?
I think it just slows me down and it makes me appreciate like what I do have. I never been one to suffer from any mental illness. I mean, of course I got sad and things of that sort, but yeah, I just think it made me slow down, be more patient with people because you never know what someone is going through. And I saw that, all the time. Mental illness is not just for the poor. Like everyone goes through. So we got different models like cognitive behavioral therapy. And with that, pretty much, if you can imagine a triangle, on one end of the triangle, you have your thoughts. Another edge of the triangle, you have your feelings. And then last end of the triangle, you have your behaviors. So the ideal with that is if you can change one of those things, you can change all of it, right? So if we can change the way that we think about something, we can change the way we feel about something. Same thing with behaviors. Like I always tell people like that come in with like depression, so to speak. Like if you do what depressed people do, then more than likely you're gonna be depressed, right? So if you're laying in bed all day, more than likely you're gonna be depressed if you're doing that week after week or day after day.
Ray, the way we like to start the episode is I'm always interested in what people had for breakfast this morning. What'd you have, man?
I had a protein shake so far. I haven't had any breakfast. Usually I get breakfast in after my workout.
Okay.
And our workout is usually around 10:30.
Okay.
Didn't get that in today, so we haven't had breakfast. I had a protein shake from My Fit Foods.
Nice.
And that thing is delicious. What is it called?
It looks like
Sriracha cinnamon poi or something like that.
Ooh.
I've not tried any of those.
18 grams of protein.
I do like
Wow.
sriracha.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that out.
So
I'm
nothing for
chocolate.
breakfast yet, but usually we scramble up some eggs, put some turkey bacon, some ham in there, slice up avocado, and call it a day.
There you go. Well, sorry we interfered with your workout
No,
today.
it's all good. Protein pancake. Yeah, and then we call it breakfast.
Nice. I like it.
What about you, Phil?
What did I have this morning? I had 2 hamburger patties and diced up potatoes.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, really good. A little ketchup on there, whip it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it was solid.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Cool, cool.
What about you, Sean? What'd you have?
Breakfast burger and fries from Whataburger this morning.
A breakfast burger from Whataburger. That's like my 9-year-old dream.
Really?
My
Have you ever had it?
Yeah, when I was a kid, my grandpa would take me to Whataburger.
Yeah.
And I would get that all the time. You know what else
so
Whataburger
good.
has that's really good?
The taquitos?
Biscuits and gravy.
Oh, yeah.
You ever had the
Yeah,
biscuits
there
and
you go.
gravy from Whataburger?
I haven't from Whataburger,
No,
but that's my
you
go-to
gotta
whenever it
try
comes
it.
to breakfast.
It's so good. I haven't had it in probably like 10 years,
Yeah.
but it's awesome.
No,
That's what we're
obviously
here for,
you
man.
guys are eating better than us. So
Call it what you want. You know,
Yeah.
call it what you want. You know, it comes in waves. We just my wife and I went to New Orleans
Okay.
last weekend.
the
So
dining there is
yeah, it was. So as you can imagine, trying to get kind of like back on the straight
Yeah.
and narrow. You know, that was a little crazy. But
Absolutely.
anyways, yeah, man. So the Shrink Gym.
yes.
And dude, love your logo, by the way.
Thank
and
you.
Strength beyond physical.
Yep. Straight beyond the physical.
So tell us what that means, where it comes from, and then I have a lot of questions for you.
So a lot of times you hear mind over matter, right? So I think people fail to realize that it also works the other way around. So you can also get strength to your mind from your body by moving it, right? So the Shrink Gym, I came up with that name because nobody likes a shrink. Nobody likes going to the shrink. So I was like, all right, let's just use it anyway.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we just put Jim behind it, and the logo was created by my friend Ernie.
Okay.
Ernie, what's Ernie's last name? Sandoval.
Okay.
Yeah, Ernie Sandoval. And he always creates logos for different people, and he got the
Wait, I know him.
Yeah.
What's his Instagram handle?
Um,
Oh my God!
Ronaldo
It's a fruit though, right?
yeah, it's a mango.
Yeah. Dude, that dude's work is good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I always appreciated his work, and always like anytime he drops something, I'll go pick up a shirt or whatever it may be.
Okay.
But yeah, his inspiration for the logo came from the Mexican bingo guy. What is it called? Atlantis, the guy that holds the world on his shoulder.
Oh, Atlas. Yeah,
Yeah, Atlas.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Have you seen that logo? It's pretty cool. It's like Atlas with the brain.
Yeah, with the brain.
instead of the earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. So, and strength beyond physical. I think that logo represents that perfectly
Mm-hmm.
because beyond the physical, we have our mind.
Yeah.
So that guy holding up the mind it just fits, I think, perfectly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like it's a very unique and interesting approach
Mhm. Yeah.
that maybe you guys take. I don't know anything about your business, your
Mhm.
model, or
Yeah.
anything. I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
So, how do you integrate
Mhm.
those two things, and how did it come to be? I'm curious on
Well,
both.
it came to be. That's a long story.
Tell
'Cause,
us. We
Like,
got plenty of time.
first, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, which makes me a psychotherapist, and that came about completely by chance, right? So I was um, post post bachelor's degree. I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I was working at Walgreens as a shift lead, and I sent the girl that was in a photo booth. Sent her on lunch, and I was covering a photo booth. Some lady, she was probably like in her 40s, 50s. She came in. She was from South Africa, and she was looking to get her passport photo. Well, I took the photo, processing it and everything, and we're just chopping it up. And come to find out, she was the assistant dean at the School of Social Work for SFA. At that point, I was like, all right, tell me more. And then she pretty much recruited me,
Okay.
right? And she recruited me. I went, applied, got into school. She got me like a assistant, research assistant position, went throughout school, still didn't know what social workers did. Well, graduated, and I was like, all right, what now? Well, my stepmom, she was in HR for the Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD, and she got me a position with the Mobile Crisis Outreach Team. And what we did were like somebody's in crisis, we respond to that crisis in the community. So if they're at home, we'll go knock on the door at home at their house and intervene there. Well, everyone I was working with were like working on getting their license for therapy, or was already like a LPC or LCSW.
What are those?
Yeah, so LPC is a licensed professional counselor. LCSW is a licensed clinical social worker.
Got it.
Right. So you got to take tests and also get like hours. It's kind of like a doctor getting like residency. So you practice under a supervisor 2 years. You finish that program, take another test, and then you can pretty much open your private practice yourself. So found out about the therapy side of things, pursued it, completed all of that. Then I started doing private therapy. Did that for a while, and decided to open up my own private therapy business. From there, I was kind of like, okay, like this is cool, but like it's so like cookie cutter, like with the way that the interventions work and things of that sort. So I was like, so what's worked for me throughout all my years? What has worked for me to kind of keep me sane, so to speak? And it was working out. It was working out. So I was like, well, maybe I should bring the fitness world into the therapy world and just see how it meshed together. Right. So that's how the Shrink Gym came about. Thought about that for like 2 years and then finally pulled the trigger.
And how long ago was that trigger pulled?
About a year ago.
Wow. So very new.
Yeah. Very new.
Okay. And so I feel like there was a lot going on there.
Yes.
Right. So from Walgreens to social work
yeah.
to private therapy to
Mhm.
gym. Tell us the timeline there, if you don't mind. Like, what's that timeline look like?
So, of course, it takes 4 years to get your bachelor's. I did mine in like 3.5. The School of Social Work, since I didn't graduate with a bachelor's in social work, I had to take additional. It took me like 2 years to get my my master's degree in social work. And if you get a bachelor's in social work, it's only one additional year. So 2 years in grad school. From grad school, after grad school, worked for the Harris Center for 8 years. And then, yeah, here I am.
Okay.
But like in order to get my license for LCSW, I would say it took total with all the schooling and things, 6 years and 8 years.
Okay.
About 8 years total.
Wow.
Took me longer because I had little breaks in between.
Well,
but
don't we
yeah.
all?
Yeah,
Don't we all?
exactly.
Well, you mentioned that like before, like when you were in school and when you were talking to
Yeah.
the lady at Walgreens and stuff, you said you didn't really know what social workers did.
No, I thought there was CPS solely. I had
Mhm.
no clue what it was. So
I feel like a lot of people probably feel that way. Like I don't
Mhm.
know, and I'm curious. Like
Yeah.
what? Just so we know a little bit more about your background too.
Mm.
What do social workers do? Yeah.
social workers, they do almost, they're in every setting, right? So you got I took the route of, private practice, but we got like program directors for like nonprofit. We got hospital social workers that does like case management, you name it. Police force, they have social workers to kind of manage crises or whatever it may be.
What was your role specifically?
Where
What did you do
at the Harris Center?
during that 8 years?
So first, I was a case manager. I was the one getting assigned referrals to go out, knock at the door, talk to them, do a like initial assessment just to see where they are, find out a baseline, and then we got them connected to our in-house doctor, and we worked with them for about 30 days to get them connected to more long-term services. So I did that for about 4, 5 years. And then from there, I went to become a supervisor, a clinical team lead. Was it yeah, clinical team lead. After that, I got that position with MCOT, and that position lasts for about a year and a half, and then I transferred to another position. And the position that I left the Harris Center at is a CTL, still clinical team lead, but it was for rapid response. So rapid response worked pretty much directly with the police. If someone's calls 911 and there's a mental health aspect to the call, instead of sending the police, they'll send us.
Oh,
Right.
so you were that guy for a period of time.
No.
Oh, okay,
well,
okay.
yeah, shortly, but then I became a supervisor for them also.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
I will get the referrals and make sure
Make sure it
people
got handled
got handled,
correctly.
appropriately.
Okay, so for the majority of your time, though, at least, well, I guess half the time, roughly, you were the guy, boots on the ground, knocking on doors.
Absolutely.
Can you share with us maybe some lessons or things that you learned from being in that environment? I'm sure it
Yeah.
was just craziness sometimes.
Well, I think some lessons that I learned was that, a lot of times your clinical knowledge, like the things that you know or the things that you learn from the test books, is irrelevant out there, right? It's just sitting down with a person, being personable, listening to that person, hearing that person out, having some sympathy, having some empathy, and kind of de-escalating the situation. Because our goal was to keep them where they were. If we had to, if it was too bad, we would pack them up and take them to the hospital. And if it was too bad and they didn't want to go to the hospital, we'll call the police to come take them to the hospital. So my goal while I had my boots on the ground was to keep them where they are. Let's de-escalate the situation, make the environment safe, and have our team follow up with them to get the ball rolling with getting them into services.
and would they respond to those, like
Mhm.
to those follow-ups and stuff pretty well?
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah, they will respond to the follow-ups. We'll have a clinician go out and meet them two times a week, 3 times a week. If they see the doctor and the doctor thought that they were severe, then well, they'll see them more. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes our doctor had them seeing people 5 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're that severe, and she prescribes them medication, so that she gotta have like medication management, make sure like there's no side effects that's too wild, and kind of get them stable before getting them into long-term services.
Yeah, and the more you talk about this, you mentioned that for a while you thought it was just like CPS. I
Yeah.
have to admit, in my head too, all I'm thinking about is a parent and child situation here,
Yeah.
but that's not always the case. There would be all types of
hmm
different issues going on here.
Exactly. So yeah, like with the Harris Center, they did a lot. They had something to accommodate anybody that was going through or experiencing mental health issues.
Mhm.
So even with homeless outreach, even with assisting the police, juveniles, for a while we're like helping the juvenile courts and things of that sort. And yeah, it's a lot. Like anytime something happens in the community, like the shooting in Uvalde, right? They sent the team out there to kind of be there for the people that
Mm-hmm.
possibly lost loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting in Santa Fe, same thing, right? Anytime something happened in the event in the community, send people out there. I was just watching the Astroworld tragedy.
I saw that. I haven't watched it, but I saw
Mhm.
it like on Netflix or
That was
Yeah.
nuts, man.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, that was
And
nuts.
so as soon as that happened, we had people out there,
Mm.
to console people or calm them down or process what just happened.
Yeah.
So that's just one side of it. I know I have friends who are social workers. They work for what is Southwest Keys, I think. And what they do, they work with the, I guess, detention centers for like immigrants or kids who's been ripped away from, their
Wow.
families. And they work real close with them. And, I don't know exactly what they do, but they're doing something with them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just social work is, I can't really think of a area that they're not in, right? Other than like STEM,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
science,
Right.
technology and things of that sort. But I think outside of that, yeah,
They're involved everywhere.
Mhm.
How has your life changed from your experience doing that?
Doing the
Like
outreach.
seeing that in person, seeing these, how people get affected from difficult situations,
Mhm.
whether it's death or other,
Mhm.
like how has that affected the way that you live your life?
Well, I think it just slows me down and it make me appreciate like what I do have. And I never been one to suffer from any mental illness. I mean, of course, I got sad and
Sure.
things of that sort. But yeah, I just think it made me slow down, be more patient with people because you never know what someone is going through. And I saw that all the time. Mental illness is not just um, for the poor. Like everyone goes through it.
Mhm.
So just being more patient, understanding, and slowing down, like as I move through life.
Do you think there's a lack of patience and empathy for these people?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of lack of patience and empathy for these people, and even by social workers themselves, right? Because as a social worker, you're dealing with this all the time. So, like, it's easy to kind of downplay somebody's symptoms
Mm-hmm.
or what someone is going through because you probably heard 10 times worse, right? So, and this meeting is it's really meeting that person where they are, right? Regardless of how small you think that issue is or how big you think it is, like, or if even if you know the answers to that problem, it's just meeting them where they are, walking them through it, processing those things, and pretty much making them come to their own conclusion on how to get better, right? Um, as a therapist, I never try to give anybody the answers. I ask the questions, like I might know the answer, but I'm not going to give it to them because, first of all, they're not going to come back to me anymore if I give them the answers. They're going to just implement the answers and be better, or they're not going to even hear me give them the
That's
answer, right?
more likely.
Yeah, because adults don't like to be told what to do, so I
Mhm.
can't go into a therapy
So
session.
similar to personal training.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, they don't like to be told what to do, so I
Mhm.
can't say, "Oh, you need to do this, this, and this," because they're not going to listen.
Mhm.
Right? So my goal in therapy is to ask the questions to lead them to the answer that I have in mind. Right. And at that point, when they get there, it's kind of like, oh crap, like I think I figured it out. Like I like to have light bulb moments.
Yeah, they
where
figured out themselves.
Yeah. And then they're like 10 times more likely to implement those things rather than me just giving them the answers.
I think that there's beyond the lack of patience and empathy, there's also like a big misconception
Mhm.
as well. In your opinion, as a professional, most people that are in these situations of mental
Mhm.
health crises,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people just kind of wave it by like it's not a big deal, like you were
Mhm.
saying. But I'm also curious, in your opinion, do people want to get better? Because I think
Mhm.
that a lot of healthy, normal
Yeah.
people think that they're not even trying.
Yeah.
But like, is that actually the case?
I think in my experience, yes. Well, it depends, right? Because sometimes we'll get someone with, schizophrenia that doesn't even know that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like their delusions and their hallucinations is real to them, right? So we can't go in there and tell them, hey, like that's not real. The FBI is not out to get you. Like they truly believe that, the FBI is out to get them, and it's nothing that anybody can like say to change their mind. But as far as so like whenever I was out in the community and doing the mobile crisis outreach team, there was a lot of people not wanting help because they didn't think they have a problem. Right. The referral came in from like a third party, like their mom, their wife, their husband. And we'll go up, talk to the person, and they're like, no, I'm good. Now,
Are they good though, or
well, we don't know because we
Uh,
haven't assessed them or anything. We can only go based on what they're saying, and everything is voluntary, right? Everything is voluntary until they say like, "Oh, I'm going to kill myself and I have a plan to do so," or "I'm gonna hurt someone else and I have a plan to do so."
then you have the legal ability to step in?
Yes, to step in and get law enforcement involved and get them help um, involuntarily. But whenever it comes to the private therapy realm, like everyone seeks me. They like my clients seek me
Right,
out,
that-
so
that's
they
a good
want to
point.
get better.
Yeah, there's a big difference in
Mhm.
the client,
Yeah.
I guess. So there's a big difference in the person that's seeking the help
Mhm.
in this situation.
Yeah, exactly. So the people that come to me for therapy, absolutely, they want help,
Hmm.
right? They want all the help that they can get. And it's probably disappointing whenever like I tell them like I'm not going to help you, you're going to help yourself. But I think as we get into the sessions and things of that sort, as we build rapport and get to know each other better, they they start to see the benefits of it. And a lot of them see the benefits after the first session because the things that they're going through, they haven't voiced this to anybody, right? So they're like, "Oh man, I feel lighter," And I had clients, probably like 3 or 4 of them, that reached out to me for services. We start services, and they're like, I don't even know what to expect. Like I pretty much hire you to bitch. I'll be like, hey, if that works,
Yeah.
it works.
I mean, well, here's a question then. That person, do they have an actual problem? Because you
Uh,
mentioned earlier too that you've never experienced
Mhm.
mental illness of your own,
Yeah.
but you've been sad, but you
Mhm.
haven't been depressed.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk
Mhm.
about the difference between those two things. So someone that's sad is not necessarily depressed.
Mhm.
Someone that's angry and just needs
Yeah.
to bitch.
Yeah.
Like, do they actually have a problem going on, or
If you ask them, they do.
Mm.
Right? It's all relative to who you are, right? So
Mhm.
I could go through something traumatic and not even experience like symptoms from that. But if you go through the same thing, you might, you know, turn out with PTSD,
Mhm.
right? So it all depends on that person and how they think about things, how they feel about things, and things like that, or how resilient is that person,
Yeah, that's so
right?
interesting.
So is that's why I say we meet people where they are,
Mhm.
right? Even though like I probably don't think they have a problem, I don't tell them that because I don't want to downplay their problem,
Mhm.
right? So if they have a problem, they see it as a problem, I go with that. That's my entry point, right?
And the goal is to help someone feel better,
Mhm.
right? And if
Mhm.
conversing with you
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and again, it sounds like you're not giving your opinion when you're there. You're
Yeah.
just giving an ability to speak and give thought provoking
Mhm.
questions.
Yeah. And there is some psychoeducation, right? Because we got different models like cognitive behavioral therapy, and with that, pretty much, if you can imagine the triangle, on one end of the triangle you have your thoughts, on the other end of on the other edge of the triangle you have your feelings, and then on the last end of the triangle you have your behaviors. So the ideal with that is if you can change one of those things, you can change all of it, right? So if we can change the way that we think about something, we can change the way we feel about something, right? And same thing with behaviors. Like I always tell people, like, hey, like that come in with like depression, so to speak. Like if you do what depressed people do, then more than likely you're going to be depressed, right? So if you're laying in bed all day, more than likely you're going to be depressed if you're doing that week after week or day after day. So we can change that behavior of being in bed, and instead of being in bed, getting up, going out for walks, getting some sun, socializing with people, going to work, whatever it may be, to change our emotions or to change our thoughts about things. Right. So, yeah, if we change either our thoughts, our emotions, or our behaviors, we're able to kind of change the whole individual.
Yeah, I
And
love
that's the
that.
ideal of CBT. There's a lot more that goes
Oh, I'm
into
sure
it.
that there is. I'm sure it's
I
much
love
deeper,
that, though.
but
Yeah, it's super good.
fundamentally, that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. It's just like sometimes when you work out more, you just automatically eat better.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
they just like
Yeah.
go hand in hand with
Mhm.
each other.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk specifics. What did it look like when you got out? You were in private practice,
Mhm.
but then you decided to go fitness. Tell us about that transition.
It was chaotic. It was chaotic because I didn't really have anything written on paper. We didn't have a plan,
Okay.
right? And she's a co-owner, right? So yeah, we were like, all right, let's go and let's do it. Like let's figure it out as we go. And that's kind of what's been going on, right? Figuring out as we go. So whenever I first started, of course, the gym's not making any money. So and it's still not making any money, which I'm okay with. I'm still helping people, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to market more and get out there more in order to get more people in, so the gym can cover itself. So with the gym not making money, I just focused solely on therapy.
Mm.
I was seeing 3 or 4 people a day just to pay the bills of the gym, and built that up pretty well, pretty nicely. I got a lot of clients that I see for therapy. And just recently, I hired a marketing team to come in and, kind of get the gym off the
For the
ground.
gym specifically.
Yeah, for the gym.
And
specifically.
are they tied together? Like we don't have to
Mhm.
talk about like business,
Yeah.
entities or anything, but
Yeah.
they are two in the same, or do you treat them separately?
The gym
Gym and the therapy.
no, they're totally separate,
Okay.
right? They're totally separate, and yeah, for pretty much legal reasons.
Oh yeah. And are your office, you have a therapy office in the
Mhm.
gym that's
Yep.
separate from your home?
Yep.
And all,
Yeah, we have a therapy office in the gym.
okay.
Therapy
Nice.
office is located at the gym.
Okay. And then do people that come in for the gym, sometimes they become therapy or vice
Mhm.
versa?
Yeah, vice versa. Mainly is people that come in for therapy, they end up becoming gym members. But the
Okay.
way that it's set up is like people that's in therapy, they have free access to the gym.
Wow.
They don't have to get a membership.
Very
right?
cool.
Now, if they drop out of therapy, they can you
Get a
can sign
membership.
up and
Yeah,
whatever.
Sure.
But like with those people, I can never like touch with like personal training or anything
Oh.
like that. Right? Especially if they're using their insurance. Is
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
understand that. That
things-
makes a lot of
yeah.
sense.
things with the license, it's like dual relationship and boundaries can get crossed. So I kind of stay away from that.
Hmm.
If someone is getting therapy, I don't train them.
Gotcha. Okay,
But-
very interesting. I like that you allow them to use the gym though, because
Yeah.
you have this belief that fitness
Mm-hmm.
and exercise will help.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of their issues.
Mhm.
So,
Well, not all of it, but
well, not all of it, but it
can help.
helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
In a lot of ways, and myself included, I
Yeah.
can attest to that. My background is in manufacturing.
Okay. Yeah.
My degree is in business management.
Mhm.
But my mom died when I was a teenager.
Okay. Same.
Oh, really? Yeah. So I've never met my dad.
Yeah.
Both my grandparents passed away very young from
Mm.
health related issues. So my mom and my grandparents all could still be alive today
Yeah.
if they would have paid better attention to their
Health.
health. And so I lost almost 100 pounds when I was like 19 years old.
Okay. Nice.
And changed my life, and here we are. So,
yeah,
you
that's
know?
awesome. And losing 100 pounds at 19, that's
Yeah, it was
that's
it was a weird
accomplishment.
part of my life.
Yeah.
And I worked, in the manufacturing industry,
Yeah.
back then. It took me a few years.
Mm.
I started doing personal training part time when I was maybe like 23, 24.
Yeah.
And then after a few years, decided to
Mhm.
leave my job and,
Yeah.
go fitness full time.
Absolutely.
But with you, it sounds like they're going to continue to, like, you're going to, for the rest of
The shrink gym.
forever,
Yeah.
you're going to have both avenues, right?
Yeah,
You're not
both
trying
avenues.
to get out of therapy and
No.
just focus on the gym.
Yeah.
They work together.
Well, my maybe one day I will get out of therapy,
Okay.
right? But that means going fully into like what we believe, would help people is a program like a training program that combines the two,
Mm,
right? Now I can't take insurance for that because
right.
it's only cash pay, but yeah, it's a program that combines the two. And whenever I say combine the two, it's not really therapy, but it's more like psychoeducation, like educating them on how the things that we use in the gym or the techniques that we use in the gym can translate, into everyday life,
Well,
right?
let's talk about that. Tell me,
Okay.
tell me your lesson plan. I
So
want to hear about it.
yeah, well, as far as the working out part, it's no different than any other trainer in the world,
Hmm.
right? You're gonna work out, you're gonna lift weights, you're gonna push yourself, things of that sort. But something that we do naturally as we lift weights are like we do grounding naturally as we lift weights, right? We do breathing techniques naturally as we lift weights, and we do resiliency training naturally as we lift weights, and all of those things can translate to everyday life. And um, our goal is to drill those things into where you're outside of the gym and you have any kind of problems or frustrations, you can breathe through it, you can ground yourself, you can kind of ease your way over any obstacle that comes in front of you, comes before you.
Yeah, I love that. We have a very similar
Mhm.
philosophy
Yeah.
on fitness, and I feel like personally that's one of the reasons that we've been able to stick around and be
Yeah.
somewhat successful
Mm.
in fitness is because a lot of people in our industry, it's all about just like how much can you bench, bro?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we really
Exactly.
try to help people
Mm.
make that connection between exercising,
Yeah.
the things that you learn here,
Mm.
and then implement them,
In everyday
in
life. Yeah.
exactly, because it requires discipline,
Mhm.
requires
Dedication.
dedication.
Yeah.
Resiliency is
Mm.
is a great word,
Yeah. Exactly.
you know.
Yeah, I love the resiliency part because I mean that's whenever we start like going to failure, right? And I like, of course, going to failure sounds intimidating, but like we're working with people that never lived
Right.
before,
Same.
so
Yeah.
like we'll go to failure with 5 pounds and it's like 15 reps, right?
Hmm.
So, but that builds resiliency, right? It's like just whenever you thought you couldn't go anymore, you went 5 extra reps, and just like in life, just like whenever you think you can't move forward anymore, you have so much more in you that you can get past anything that comes your way.
I love it.
Yeah.
Question just popped into my head. Someone is, dealing with some internal issues,
Hmm.
right? And you obviously believe in therapy and in
Hmm.
exercise. Which one comes first?
Hmm.
How do you approach this?
So someone's coming in with problems
Hmm.
and they could benefit from both.
Hmm.
Well, I wouldn't say one comes before another
Okay.
necessarily. It's because some people need to talk things out, right?
Right.
And there's people that goes to the gym regularly that's in therapy too, right? So it's I would say for me, therapy comes first. Personally, I mean not therapy, but the gym comes first. Personally, for me, because that's always what I kind of leaned on to go to get through any problems I had.
There you go.
Right? Because I feel like in the gym, whenever I'm by myself or have my headphones on, I'm able to kind of think more logically and get through process things a little better, like in my own head,
Right.
and come up with solutions. That might not work for everybody.
Yeah. So if you feel like you can take that step,
Mm,
then do it. But if you can't, then the therapy is gonna have to come first to help
absolutely.
you take that step.
To help you take that step and really to just process the your emotions and things of that sort to feel better,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because not everybody's gonna like the gym, and like
So true.
I'm not only like pushing the gym, I'm pushing for physical exercise or movement,
Yes.
right? So it doesn't have to be the gym. Go walk for 10 minutes,
Love it.
right? Just move your body
Hmm.
and start small. Like if let's say you're a person that hates working out, hates outdoors or whatever it may be, but you love dance, go dance, right? Go get in a Zumba class or a hip hop class or salsa dance. Like all of that stuff counts as exercise to me,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, if you love golf, go golf. You know, do the things that you love in order to get your body moving and to, have a starting point to working out or to getting physically fit.
Yeah, we often, are doing consultations with people and they'll ask, how often should I work out? Like, well, let's start with like, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
And then if there is zero activity, I'm like, well, let's just like get in the gym maybe 2 days a week.
Mhm.
And then I just want you going on a 20-minute walk every day.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
take the dogs, go on a walk.
Yeah.
And let's do that. Let's give it a month or two.
Mhm.
And then we can kind of
Yeah.
reassess.
Start small.
Yeah. And then kind of work your way up.
Absolutely. So yeah, whenever gym or therapy, both of them, I think it depends on the individual.
Right.
I can't answer for anybody but myself.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for sure because
Mm-hmm.
like I'm the same way. Like it all started, with exercise, and I'll say too, like as a kid, I went to therapy for different reasons.
Yeah.
And then as a teenager for different reasons. Now as
Yeah.
an adult, I've gone to therapy for
Yeah.
also different reasons, right? So it kind of depends on
Mm.
why. Like when I was a kid, I was going to therapy, but I wasn't exercising.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now as an adult, I've gone to therapy as needed.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I can lean on exercise and
Yeah. Exactly.
focusing on myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, with the exercise, it's not only about the exercise. Like I said earlier, it could be about like how people say mind over matter.
Mhm.
It can work in reverse, right? It can be, matter feeding the mind.
yeah,
And a lot of times with exercise, that's what we get, right? We get those chemical releases in the brain that trigger, those um, feel good sensors,
sure.
right? So you got the endorphins, right? The endorphins act as a painkiller, so to speak. So whenever people are running and they mention a runner's high, that's because they got an increased boost of endorphins from moving their body running. We got serotonin. Serotonin is pretty much mood stabilizers, right? So people that work out usually they express feelings of being more happy or more joyful, less sad, things of that sort, because those endorphins are increased and they're being released from the movement that you're doing. And we got dopamine, right? Dopamine is, what triggers like motivation and, that kind of go-getter spirit, right? It's kind of energizes the body. I always think of it like it's funny how I think about it because it's called dopamine, but like the way that I remember how it works is like whenever I say dope, I think of like crack, right? And then
I knew where you were going, but I didn't know we were going to break out the crack.
Smile like coming up. I was like, I know something's coming.
I knew something was coming. That's not what I expected, though.
no, I think of like crack and
Yeah.
like I never seen like an unmotivated like crackhead, right? Like
The
crackhead's
most
gonna
motivated person, is the
Yeah,
crackhead
yeah,
that
they're
needs
gonna-
some crack. I
yeah,
guess. That's so
they're gonna
true.
go get what they want, and
Yeah.
like the dopamine that get released in the brain, kind of it triggers that motivation, that go getter spirit.
That's so funny. What is that called? What's it called whenever you use one thing to remember another? Jeez.
Not an analogy.
No.
I get what you're saying.
Like
though.
a-
You had brought it up in a episode.
Yeah.
A couple
Send
of-
them what?
No, it's not a synonym or an analogy or a metaphor. I can't remember. I'll think of it in a minute. But it's basically you remember like when you're in school or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And and you got to remember.
Yeah,
how
like that
something
word
goes.
association.
Yeah,
or
like word
whatever.
association
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't think of what it's called at the moment.
Man,
but
you
geez.
said that like brought me back. I used to work at a pawn shop for years, so it's
Yeah.
like I definitely met some very, very motivated people. Like,
Yeah.
you would see some crazy. My favorite thing was, oh, I'm just pawning his PS4 because he's in trouble. I'm like, you got bad grades and you're bringing this thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Put
give
it
me a
in
little
a
bit more on
closet.
it, too.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, hold it in the closet. Like, you don't have to bring it here.
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about the gym itself. Like, how does it work? Is it memberships? Is it training? Like, what all
So
do you do there?
it's both.
Okay.
It's both. We got mainly right now is membership based. I do offer personal training. Then Justin Burke, with Legacy Athletics, he also offers personal training, and working on getting it organized to
Mm-hmm.
offer like group classes, like weekly like hit workouts,
There you
things
go.
of that sort. So like with the operations of the gym, we're just now getting that together.
Okay.
Right, but it is open to the public. We don't want to, have people thinking that we're only like mental health,
Sure.
right? Or like if you coming in here, like you're in therapy. We don't want people thinking that. So we kind of open it up to the public. And if you're in therapy, you're going to blend right in because nobody's going to know that you're in therapy. pretty
Right.
much. So,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just a place where anyone can come,
hmm
get a workout in.
Yeah.
The therapy is totally separate.
yeah.
No one's going to like pressure you for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
that
but-
or anything.
Yeah, with the therapy, I just want to make it easily accessible for people. And where we are, there's not many therapists around.
Mm.
So I don't know if there's any therapists around that's in person.
Really?
So yeah, I'm probably like one of the only ones. And so like I want to be there, like, okay, you know that I'm a therapist, but like you don't have to deal with me. Just go do the gym. Like
right.
I prefer like if you can handle your problems in the gym by yourself, it's probably gonna be a lot more effective than
Really? You really feel that way?
yeah. Well, if you're able to now, if you go to the gym or if you handle your problems yourself and they don't necessarily get handled, then yeah, come to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're able to work through your problems on your own, yeah, I would definitely recommend that. And that's a lot of times what happened with therapy. Like people fall out of therapy or like we terminate services because I start to believe like, all right, you got the skills that you need to move forward, by yourself.
Mm.
So usually we start off at once a week, then I move on to like bi-weekly, then once a month, then once every 3 months. And once they're reporting like, oh, they've been good, I'm like, all right, well, go on.
Time to
Like,
grow.
Yeah, time to
grow
go.
on your own.
Is it exactly
Yeah.
like you don't really need me anymore?
Mm-hmm. What are some techniques that people can use if they do want to try to do something on their own? Say they're working out a little bit and they're feeling better,
Mhm.
but they want to introduce some of these self techniques too. Do you have like maybe
Yeah.
2 or 3 things that are really well?
Well, I would say that one of the biggest thing is journaling, right? Journal your thoughts, positive and negative, right? Another technique, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a technique, it's just a way of thinking, is feed the positive, right? It's funny because whenever I was out in the field and even sometimes with clients, they'll come to me and I'll ask them first, like, what's been good? Like, what good is going on? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I went bowling with my family and friends. And then I'll be like, okay, anything else about that? Like, how were you feeling? Things and that. So like, oh, it's good, right? But then whenever I get to the bad, they can describe everything that was bad about the situation. They're going to tell you what time it is. They're going to tell you. They're going to tell you what it smelled like. They're going to tell you.
That's
they're gonna-
so true though. We
they're
focus on the
real.
negatives.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you everything about what went wrong.
Mm.
But then if it's good, they're going to, well, it was good. And they leave it at that. Well, I believe that the grass is going to be greener wherever you water it, right? So if we're soaking up the negative so much, of course, like our life or our perspective is going to be negative, is going to bring us down. So instead of doing that, whenever something good do happen, soak in the moment, right? Like notice what you're feeling, notice what you're thinking, notice what you're doing, notice what people are wearing, notice, be aware of the conversation, notice the color on the wall, or, kind of soak in that moment. That way, whenever you do see a therapist again, you can kind of go in details about the good that happened.
Wow.
So it's more of a mind state of, as much as you're watering the bad, we probably need to water the good 2 or 3 times more.
yeah, because it's so difficult to do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so hard. I want to go back, if you don't mind, to the writing it part down, because I'm not gonna lie. Whenever you mentioned, write down the good and the negative, write down the bad stuff as well. The first thing that comes to my mind is, you see all these news stories about bad things that happen in our world,
Yeah.
and they go back and they find that this person had written all types of crazy negative things.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, whatever you can share about like what's going on there and like what are the
Yeah.
benefits of someone writing down that negative. And because to me, if I write down something negative, I'm like, am I crazy? That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my mind. Am I one of these crazy people?
Well,
You know?
Got
yeah.
your manifesto coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah. Sometimes it starts like that, right? But so whenever I'm in therapy and I'm telling somebody to journal initially, yeah, if it's going to be negative, go ahead and get it out, right? But then, like, I kind of start building up their, I guess, way of thinking to like be able to turn like anything that's negative into positive, right? Then I'll have them go back and be like, all right, like, how can we make this situation more with a more positive lens? Like, how can we make this situation positive? And they'll go back and like put a twist on it. But with writing things down, what it does is it slows us down, right? Because our mind works at 100 miles an hour, right? We can be. It seems like we can think freaking 50 different things at the same time, even though we can't really do that. But what it does is it slows it down because it takes us longer to write something than to think it, right? It also organizes our thoughts. So yeah, our thoughts are messy. We can go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and get lost. So writing it down slows us down to organize our thoughts and make sense of what's going on in our head. So I recommend the journaling just to process or organize our thoughts, slow them down, and also just to get those thoughts out of our head, right? Put them on paper, right? Because a lot of times we can be thinking something and then we talk to somebody about it and then it's solved, right? We don't think we're not thinking so much about it. So it's pretty much like just talking to yourself on paper and getting it out of your head.
Yeah, so you like to just take a journal out and just whatever thought comes to mind, you just write it down. And when the next one comes,
write
you
it
that
down. Yeah. Or, a lot of times after you write it down, while you're writing it down, you're going to think of something that goes with that thought and it's going to organize that thought for you. It's going to provide more context.
And you usually try to get people to do this. Like if you're seeing a patient, this is like a daily activity, 10 minutes maybe.
No, I wouldn't even say daily. I would say, well, if they want to do it, I have people that do journal daily and they find it very beneficial. But I would say like anytime you're feeling down or anytime you feel like you're feeling up or you're feeling joy, like let's write, especially if you notice it.
Yeah, because it's gonna force you to notice. Like you're so right. I'm trying to think of the last really good thing that happened and to try to put the details together of the environment.
Yeah.
It's tough, but you think of the last bad thing that happened to you, you're like,
you're
like,
on it,
right on top of it. So I'm gonna try to do that. And I used to be really into journaling. I still do, but my journaling these days is more like a to-do list, and that's just kind of what it's evolved to for me.
Yeah, and that works really well too, especially for people with like ADHD and things of that sort. Having a to-do list and having something they can physically check off that kind of keep them organized. But journaling, it shouldn't necessarily be a to-do list,
right?
But to-do lists are great. Definitely use them if it helps you stay organized.
It helps me stay like lower stress. I feel like because you're always this like when you're in the business side of things, you're always worried that you didn't do something.
Yeah.
And so now that anxiety and stress is like higher for no reason when you could have
Exactly.
just, it could be the most simple task and it's like raising
your anxiety. And instead of just like getting it done.
Yeah, exactly. You can just get it done and then it's done and then you feel better.
Exactly.
And then you notice everything around you and you keep feeling better.
Exactly.
What's the long-term goal with the gym? I know it's only been open for a year.
Just to grow like any other gym, right? Regardless of the therapy side of things, just for the gym to grow and hopefully open up another location like you guys are in Pearland.
Nice.
But getting like-minded people in there to help grow the business. I want to get people that do see the benefits of working out whenever it comes to mental health and vice versa, right? I want people in there. I want a community of people to help people grow, both physically and mentally.
Nice.
Strength beyond the physical.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned like the classes or whatever. Do you have we've been talking a lot about like your therapy profession, stuff like that. When it comes to fitness though, like what are your belief systems, I guess? Like what type of modalities? You mentioned lifting, which I love, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, like for yourself and your clients.
Well, I pretty much use what I use on myself for my clients, right? And that's really taking it slow, right? Like if you never worked out before, you're not going to come in and lift over 20 pounds, All right, you're gonna start at fives, and you probably stay at fives for the first month or so,
Mm-hmm.
and then like after being at fives, we gonna the next month we're gonna increase it slowly to like tens. So on your last set, you'll probably be using tens
Mm-hmm.
to get stronger or whatever it may be. And then also like in that second month, we're gonna introduce something to do like with resiliency or to make the workout harder, like tempo or like post reps or even like going to failure. Right. Then the third month, we're just going to continue to build upon that foundation that we built. Um, I think that answered
Yeah.
your
So
question.
slowly but surely,
Yeah.
strength training is
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
more of the focus is.
Yeah,
Is going to
absolutely.
be. And ideally, like how often do you like to see people working out?
So yeah, the people that signed up under me, they're working out 3 times a week in person.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 times a week in person for anywhere between 45 minutes to like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, we like 45 minutes, like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
45 minutes is like a nice sweet spot
Yeah,
for most people where it's like not too difficult on your schedule.
exactly.
You can
Yeah.
still get good results
Yep.
because if you work out once a week, awesome, but you're not
Yeah.
gonna
exactly.
progress enough to really get
Mhm.
motivated.
Yeah, I think 3 times a week is the sweet spot, and and usually the workout is only lasting about, like you said, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
The lifting part. But yeah, some people like to do extra cardio at the
Mhm.
end, or some people like to sit in the sauna. So that
Oh, you guys
adds
have
to
saunas? What
Yeah.
what kind of amenities do you have there?
right now just the sauna.
Oh,
We got
okay.
like a yoga room.
Cool, nice.
The gym, of course. We have like a little outside area where we have things like the tires.
Okay.
We got sledgehammers that people can go destroy the tires with.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
got a little basketball, things of that sort.
Okay,
Nice.
nice. So like you said earlier, just like activity. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be benching and
Yeah,
squatting and bicep
absolutely.
curls.
Yeah.
It can be just any type of general activity.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do. What's your fitness routine looking like these days?
Oh man, it's it's beating up my body. I can tell
Yeah.
you that much. But yeah, so we're on a 6-day split.
Okay.
Right. So
Y'all work out together?
yeah.
6
Wow,
days
that's
split.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6-day split. We got chest day on Mondays. Tuesdays we got back day. Wednesdays we have quads.
Okay.
Thursday we have shoulders. Fridays we have arms, and either Saturday or Sunday, depending on if we're feeling it or not, we have hamstrings and glutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we split up leg days.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's because we have the time to do so. So
Yeah.
but like if ideally, not ideally, but if I was more busy, it'll be probably a 4-day split.
4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 or 5 is really good. I really like that. I see in y'all split, there's like a nice combination of like the bro split
Yeah.
and like with a little
Yeah.
bit of your 2 leg days
Yeah.
influence probably going on in there.
Yeah, she the one that recommended it. I
I'm
was like,
sure.
damn. I was like, here we go.
I
But-
read your mind, dude. I knew.
But I love it because like I hate leg day, but like
Mhm.
splitting the leg day up like that is just makes it more manageable.
yeah.
Right? We're not banging out legs for an hour and a half. It's only
Right.
like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. So your own personal workout's like 45 minutes also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
45 minutes to
Yeah.
an
Get
hour.
in there, work
Mhm.
hard,
Yeah,
get out. It's like
Yeah.
diminishing returns after
Mhm.
that.
exactly. Especially when you're only targeting one body part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about that. No doubt. I remember when I was like in my I started working out when I was like 19, 20.
Mhm.
I was like in my mid 20s. It was like my peak
Yeah.
physical probably. And yeah, I just remember like being in the gym for 2 hours doing arms.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Hell yeah.
Where did that energy come from?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
no idea.
No, I remember those days too. So
Yeah.
I used to be the same way. I would say, yeah, my peak was in college.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would work out, then after I'll go run like 2 miles.
Yep.
I was like, what was I doing?
Uh-huh.
Like, no wonder I was so thin and skinny.
Do you do
but-
any cardio at all now?
I try to.
What's that mean?
I try.
What's
try
that mean?
to.
Tell us. Like when
There was recently there was like a 2-week period where
Yeah.
I closed down the gym and I'll get on the treadmill and run for like an hour. But
Okay.
that was a 2 week period. It's probably been 2 weeks since I've
Okay,
done it.
nice.
Yeah.
So it goes in cycles.
Yeah.
It's gonna roll back around. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife ran her first marathon recently.
Oh, nice.
And now she's really into high rocks. You familiar with high rocks?
High rocks.
Yeah, it's a race. It's an
Okay.
obstacle race, I guess you could. It's not really an obstacle race, but there's 8 events,
Yeah.
and the events are pretty functional fitness type things like the rower, the ski
Okay.
erg,
Yeah.
sled push, sled pull, and basically between each of these 8 events, you run 1 kilometer. So she's a really strong runner. I mean, she's a crazy athlete all the
Yeah.
way around. But anyways, so
I
cardio
do-
is pretty prevalent in our
Yeah.
house.
I do need to do more cardio, but if I had to choose what cardio I'm going to do, it's going to be walking on the incline.
Yeah,
That's
uh-huh.
it. That's it. No running or playing basketball. Like I play
Basketball's good.
basketball,
Mhm.
and but yeah, playing a sport or walking on the incline.
I really like to see people playing some type of team sport if
Yeah.
possible. It doesn't have to be very competitive. Honestly, competitiveness, as I've gotten older, I'm really a fan, unless it's casual.
Yeah,
Competitive team sports, though,
Mhm.
the older you get, man, just the injury risk is a little high.
yeah, exactly.
Like I pulled my hamstring playing slow pitch softball,
yeah,
and that was miserable.
yeah,
And
exactly.
so it's still a great thing to do. But anyways, I like to see people playing sports,
Mhm.
taking their dogs on walks,
Yeah.
getting outside,
yeah, exactly.
for cardio versus, coming to the gym. We tell all of our clients, you have unlimited access to the gym. Come as
Yeah.
much as you want. But if it's Sunday morning and you're looking to do some cardio or Saturday afternoon, I'd much rather you go to the park and
exactly. Yeah,
do something along those lines.
No, absolutely, and I mean, yeah, we're pretty active. I would say outside of just the gym, we go bowling often.
Cool.
I just picked up. Always been good at bowling, so it's just something I do to go entertain myself and beat up on people that I know.
I love it.
They're-
You ever sandbag them? Like,
Yeah.
like you throw
Hey, man,
that.
let's put a little money down,
Yeah.
man.
Right? Exactly. And I just picked up golf, which is way
Cool.
more tiring than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when you're swinging and missing the ball. Like,
Oh,
that shit gets tiring.
No, I'm miserable. I play a disc golf. You heard of
Yeah.
disc golf?
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah.
cool sport. I like to play that. It's a little more casual than regular golf, much
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
so
Yeah.
it's pretty nice. But yeah, I used to bowl a lot myself, also.
Yeah, nice.
And so, bowling's a good sport. You can do it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not super physical, but there's
No.
some
I mean,
physicality to it.
Yeah, I've known people that hurt themselves bowling. So.
Yeah, it's possible. Have you ever,
Yeah.
there's a comedian, Jim Gaffigan. You ever heard him?
No.
You should look it up. He has this joke. He says that bowling's the only sport in the world where you can be a professional and eat nachos at the same time.
Right.
It's like- it's so funny.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
It's
but-
low impact.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still good.
Yeah.
Just getting out of the house in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
All those are, I'm sure, very good for your mental health.
Yeah, exactly.
As well. So awesome, man. Well, is there anything that we missed? Anything you want to cover or mention kind of before we wrap up?
Not necessarily. I just want people to get out there, be active, and kind of take care of their bodies and just see the benefits or be cognitive of the business of the benefits
Sure.
from that you receive from working out, right?
Mhm.
Especially the mental benefits or the mood benefits that comes from working out.
Yeah, people don't always make that connection. We like to say that no one likes to work out. No one works out just to do it. You do it for the benefit. So you have to make that connection between the exercise you do in the gym and
Yeah.
the outcome that you want.
Exactly. And most people outcomes are physical,
Mhm.
which is fine, but I would just say not to downplay or not to look over the mental benefits, right?
Yep.
And then like just the changes that it makes to your brain, right? Like there's areas of your brain that grows as you exercise, right? Like the what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now.
That's okay.
But I can't think of the part of the brain right now.
Mhm.
But one of the parts is your prefrontal cortex, right? Which helps with like being focused and being able to shift from thing to thing like rapidly and
Mm.
kind of maintain that focus. And the other part, I can't think of the name, but it's good for memory.
Really?
Yeah, it's good for like building memory and being able to create new memories and hold on to them. So like as you get older, we kind of lose our memory. Working out can help, preserve that memory.
Wow, that's good to know. I did not know that.
Why can't I think of the name of it?
It's okay. That
It's a part of the brain.
Same with that
Yeah.
word connection
It's
thing.
not
like,
working.
I
It's not
can't,
working
like,
for
think
me
of,
right now.
what it's called. But yeah, I mean, dude, as you continue to grow, like, if you need any help with how to structure the gym
Real
stuff,
quick, hippocampus.
Is that what it is?
Hippocampus.
Hippocampus.
dang,
Hippocampus.
Sean to the rescue.
There we go.
And what is that exactly?
It's a part of your
is-
brain.
Yeah, it's the cerebral cortex, the brain structure that primarily responsible for memory.
Ah, okay. So you're
So,
stimulating that.
Yeah. And that's a part of the brain that you can actually grow cells through working out.
Wow.
Yeah. It didn't work for me. I couldn't remember the name
Oh,
of it.
yes.
but,
It sounds like you need to get in the squat rack a
Right.
little more. Yeah.
Need to do some more cardio or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. But yeah, man, what I was saying is like if as you're testing the putting the classes and
Yeah.
training and stuff into the gym, dude, if you need help with that stuff, that's
Absolutely.
that's what I spend most of my focus on here these
Nice.
days. So whatever
Yeah.
we can do to help you, we believe that there can't be enough of these small independent gyms
Absolutely.
like what we have. We need more of them. We need places that people can go to feel good, feel comfortable, and feel confident. So anything that we can do to help support
Absolutely.
your journey and growth.
Okay. We completely appreciate that. And like it's a good place to build community, and as we know, community is good for everyone.
Exactly.
Right? Having some sense of community, even if it's just in the gym, right?
100%.
So-
The gym is a community place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
I appreciate that.
yeah, man, for sure.
Alright.
Sean, do you have any questions before we?
Yeah, I
wrap up?
actually have
Okay.
two.
Uh-oh.
One is how do you decompress after all the therapy sessions? Like, how do those
Oh.
weigh on you? And what are your tips there?
I'm gonna be honest. Like I got so good at kind of separating myself from the therapy that if I didn't take notes, I wouldn't even remember what happened the session before. Right. So it's kind of like after that therapy session is done and I turn off my computer, I am like completely refocused on something else.
And is
So-
that like something that you developed over time?
Yeah, something I developed over time. I had sessions whenever I first started that kind of just got to me and it kind of like, geez, like I need a drink,
Yeah.
which is
yeah,
not a
yeah.
good way to decompress.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like, man, I need a drink. But now it's kind of like, all right, like I'm not downplaying their problems or anything, but I can't take that with me throughout the day.
Understand.
Right.
Yeah,
So I gotta
understand.
leave it there. I can't get that vicarious trauma through my clients, because a lot of times after a client, I got another client.
Yeah.
So I gotta
Yeah, gotta
switch
be
real
able to
quick.
shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of times, and she'll tell you, like, even with her, I can't remember anything, right? Especially like if it's something that I'm not focused on, I'm not gonna remember what was said or anything of that sort.
Mm.
So and that's probably me. I got what you call it, whenever selective hearing, I guess. Yeah, I got
Sound like my
selective
grandma.
hearing.
I'm talking to my grandma.
Yeah. I got selective hearing. So like if I'm not focused on that, or like let's say I'm watching TV and then you like say something to break my attention, I'm gonna be like, huh? Like I'm not
Right.
gonna hear what you just say. You're gonna have to repeat yourself, because
Mhm.
now you got my focus. You
Yeah,
didn't have
yeah,
my focus
yeah.
right there.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, it's that quick shifting between clients that kind of helped me not take that trauma like with me, or not take
Understand.
what they're saying.
It's a good skill.
Yeah.
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 I understand. And so my next question is, I really liked what you said about, you're depressed because you do depressed people things. I like kind of experienced some trauma recently, and I kind of had that same thought where it's like you're doing things and it's not overtly I'm laying in bed or
Yeah.
I'm doing these very, very obvious depressed people things. I was just wondering, what are some things that people might like overlook that are very, depressive actions, like things that are, they're really going through some type of trauma that they need to work through, but they're just ignoring it because it's not obvious.
Yeah. Well, it's easier said than done. And, sometimes I want to lay in bed all day. So, but I would say, yeah, the laying in bed all day is one thing. Not getting out of bed, not moving your body can become very depressing. Another thing is self-sabotaging, or like, just talking down on yourself all the time. Like having a negative perception of yourself. The world's gonna do enough of that for you. Like if anybody's gonna believe in you, it's gotta be yourself, right? You gotta talk yourself up, and even if you don't believe it, like still say these good things to yourself. So yeah, if you're talking down on yourself, of course, like we're gonna be down. Like if you walk around saying that, you're ugly and you're not worth anything, or you're a piece of shit, like you're gonna feel like that, right? So just having a better talking to yourself nicer. I like to tell people like to go back and envision himself as a child, all right, or envision that you're talking to a child, and say to yourself what you would say to that child, right? Like we're not gonna tell a child like you're a piece of shit, right? We're gonna be like, oh, you're great, you can do anything you want to do. Like we got to talk to ourselves like we're talking to a child.
I like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
a couple things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is focusing on the negative, of course, to shift that focus from the negative to like the positive. Anytime we're having some kind of joy or a joyous moment, let's soak in it rather than just let it pass us by.
That can be so hard sometimes, though.
Yeah.
Man. Why do you think that we focus on the negative so hard?
Because it brings so many emotions, right? So many negative emotions that we feel harder than joy, right? Because we feel anger harder than we do whenever like we feel in happiness. So I think like whenever something makes you angry, it's kind of easy to like just dig into it, right? And to kind of fight against it or whatever it may be. And that brings those angry thoughts, right? So it's so easy to just fall down that rabbit hole of negativity or anger. Whenever we're feeling joy, it's kind of like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to feel like this. And we don't really soak in it. All right. We kind of just let it pass by.
I'm gonna try to start remembering what it smells like.
Yeah.
When things feel good.
Yeah, man.
You know, the smells, the sights, the sounds.
Yeah.
Dude,
Soak it all in. Right. So soak it all in, the conversation, whatever it may be.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you have a great concept. It's very unique and very interesting. So I hope that we can get the message of it, out there and get more people to not only do therapy, but to exercise and just get our world feeling better.
Exactly.
So man, if you want to shout out the number or social medias, address, where it's located, anything like that.
Yeah. So you can find us at the Shrink Gym on Instagram, and that's pretty much the only social media we got. We got a TikTok, but I'm not well versed at TikTok yet. I could probably use somebody like you to come, come help us. Yeah,
cool.
Get in touch with us, and we're there to help anybody that walks through the door.
Awesome, man. Yeah, really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
And guys, make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time.
Peace out.
Peace.